Hello friendoos, I'm offering a video today about our feet. Many people have a lot of foot problems and from that, hip problems and back problems. So today I will be doing a little introductory video that helps us to understand how we can be better with our feet and most especially to rebuild arches for those of us who suffer from flat feet. Myself! The most important part of feet care or foot care is understanding how we are standing. Understanding how we're standing. I'm going to now show you 2 ways to rebuild your arch. Please know that the first way I'm going to show you is going to be the easier one to do. And then the second way I'm going to show you, it's only if you have some mobility in your knees. Okay? So we're going to stand up right now. You should be able to see my toes. Very nice. So, first thing we're going to do is learn how to stand. Okay? So basically, when they tell you to put your feet together, most people will put their toes together and their heels together. You know what happens? When you push yourself somewhere, you kind of lose balance. You see that? Timber. But if you keep your toes together and your heels slightly apart, okay, and you sit yourself, you'll be nice and strong. The other tendency when we are asked to stand together is we all of a sudden become like super rigid and we lock our knees. We should always keep a micro bend in our knees, okay? So if you notice some tightness in your knees, don't worry, you can take a little bend. See? This is me hyperlocked. I look like a goat. This is me with a nice bend. And I'm still straight. Okay. Toes together, heels slightly apart. Loose knees. Now we're going to do a breathing exercise, which allows us to take the breath from the core all the way up to our chest. We roll our shoulders back. We put our chin back 1 inch. We bring the breath down. And as it's going down the back of our legs, we're going to just make a note to make sure that our knees are nice and unlocked. Very nice. The other thing that we need to understand when we're taking a breath and allowing it to come down is that we're going to tuck in our butt. Usually, for example, from the side, we're kind of doing this or this. But what it does is that we're having this bend in our back. And the reason why you know that is when you tuck in your butt, you see a slight change, and then there's some lifting that's happening here, which means that it is allowing your back to relax. Shoulders rolled back. Over here. Shoulders rolled back. Butt tucked in, knees nice and loose. See what the difference is? Nice. Okay, and knees loose. Very good. Excellent. The next thing we're going to learn is our stances. Okay, so do some walking in this new body, and then we're going to learn our stances. So this is standing posture where our toes are together, heels are slightly apart, knees are loose, butt is tucked in, shoulders roll back. Then we're going to pivot 45 degrees onto our big toes and drop our feet. That's hip width distance apart. And then we're going to lean to one side. Here I'm leaning to my right side. We're going to bend that knee, just micro bend it a little bit to hold all the weight. Very nice. And we're just going to tap with the other foot to make sure all the weight is on one foot. And when we have that, we're going to put our toes so that they're touching the top of our toes is touching the floor, right? And we're going to just lean forward and lean back as we keep breathing, because this can be really intense. Very nice. We might even want to roll our knees a little bit. What this is doing is it's building and stretching the front of our toes and allowing us to rebuild the arch at the bottom of our toes. I'm rotating the other direction. Very nice. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put that foot down again. We're going to put all the weight on the foot that we just exercised. And just tap the other foot to make sure all the weight is on this side. Very nice. And then we're going to take the top of the feet, top of the toes, and put it up against the floor. Moving forward and back. Nice stretch. Keeping all the work is being done by the standing leg. We're not putting any pressure aside from just a little bit on the foot that we're exercising. And we can go in a circle. Breathing deeply, because that like really helps the entire process be less intense. That's why we need to breathe when we're in a lot of pain. We forget to do that sometimes. Same thing with exercising. And at all times, really. Because we're human beings and animals. Okay, excellent. When we're ready, we put all the weight on the left foot and release the right foot. Very nice. Again, wiggle your knees a little bit. Make sure your butt is nice and tucked in. Your shoulders are back. Flat against your back. Your chin is relaxed. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the same exercise, but seated. Again, this may not work for people who have knee problems, but it is another way of doing the same exercise if standing and doing it is difficult, right? So there are always ways to modify to get to the same things. So here, we're going to do the same breath work and check our position. Up from the front, down from the back. Very nice. We're going to tuck in our butt because we don't need to worry about our knees. But when we tuck in our butt, what happens is that it puts all the weight towards the back. So your knee is being stretched, but does not have any weight on it. So you can kind of move it a little bit more. It's less intense. We're not doing this, which can be really painful. So this is another way, if you're nervous about your knee, just to see if what you can do. A lot of people automatically assume their knee can't take it is because they're in the wrong position. But if they put the weight in the back by tucking in the back, you might be able to withstand the pain or not have any pain for that matter. We roll our shoulders back and we push back our chin 1 inch and we do this breath cycle. And what I want you to notice is right now, the front of my feet is flush to the bottom of the ground, okay? So in a way, we're stretching just like we were stretching standing up. What we can do here as we're doing our breath work is to use our fingers, if we can reach our toes, and kind of add some spacing between our toes. Just to kind of give it something else to do, or get to the toes in a way that, just activating your toes a little bit. Nice. Then, when we're ready, we plant our hands right in front of us, spreading all the weight through all of our fingers, the top of where all the knuckles are, so that all of the weight is not on the wrist. Okay? And we're going to come forward and just tuck in our toes. And we're going to sit back, same thing, tuck in our butt, roll our shoulders, put our chin back 1 inch. And do that same breath cycle a couple times. We can go back and adjust our toes because we're a little bit higher from the ground. It might be a little bit difficult. This is just a way to kind of keep your toes activated. Slowly and gently. If you can't move your toes, do not try to move your toes. It's fine. And then we're going to come forward, right down to the front of our toes. One of the things that I'm starting to work on is to kind of work with my ankle strength here. So sometimes with all of the weight on most of my weight on towards the back of my hip, I try to just kind of lift up a little bit by just tucking my butt in. That's it. And then pushing my ankles together to strengthen my ankles. Okay. Forward and tuck it in. This might seem like prayer in some of our religions. And you know what? That's probably embodied care, built into prayer. It's really beautiful. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so that's one way of rebuilding the arch. And then I'm going to show you the one that is really, really tough. It is a basic step for those of us studying things like yoga. we can go a little bit more into the history of yoga. But for now, please know that a lot of these really deeply embodied techniques and care really come from people who live close to the earth, right? So I want to say that there are complicated histories from a lot of the stuff that we know today. And it's important for us to know what these histories are. So if you keep following me, hopefully we can unpack these histories together. All right, so we're going to go into what is commonly known as downward dog. And we're going to plant our hands as we were doing before. And then from this position right here, we're going to go back into a tabletop. So a tabletop is such that there's a square being made between your wrist, your shoulder, which is rolled back here, your butt, and where your knees are. And your knees are hip-width distance apart, and the front of your feet are down against the floor. Very nice. Make sure, again, with all your joints, in this case the elbow, that there's a micro bend. We do not want to be straight like that. We do want to be relaxed in the belly, and our shoulders are flat up against our back. Now what we do now is we're going to tuck in our toes right here. I'm going to just lift up 1 inch just to make sure we can do that, right? Because if we are not distributing the weight, and some of us just may not have the strength right now, and that's fine, we don't want to go up all the way and hurt ourselves. So here we're just going to lift up a little bit and see if we can do that. And if you're feeling pressure in your wrist, see if you can put more weight on your fingers and lift up. And if you can't, this is the moment to stop. And this is why you need to go to yoga class, so you can learn how to do that eventually. Those of us who are fine up to this point, we're going to lift up right here. And the point of this pose is a couple things that we need to worry about. One, that we are pushing down with our belly button, as if the belly is reaching for the ground. The other one is that your shoulder blades are nice and flat up against your back, so you're not pushing up like that. And as you are pushing back, you can see how my flexibility is being challenged here. We're going to be able to put our the heel down, right? Right now here I'm on my top of my toes. Maybe some of you are over here and you can't do anymore, and that's fine. The important thing is to keep reaching, and most especially breathing and seeing how long you can hold it. And if you can, start putting your heel down. This is where a yoga mat could be useful, because it gives you a little bit of a grip. Okay? Okay. All righty. One step at a time, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll make another video soon. Cheerio, cheerio.